What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the PhDJ podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joe Bunn, and there is my man,
Mike Walter. I never know whether you're going to intro me or leave a blank for me to fill it in. So there's that awkward hesitation. But hello, everybody. How are you?
Welcome, everybody. Mike's still in the office.
Yeah, well, we're recording at a different time than usual. So usually you get me in the morning at home. But I had to bring everything into the office, which is why I'm hand-holding my microphone. But anything for you, Joe. And what was that? We are pre-recording this by a week because you are... What now?
Are you ready, Mike? You were so disappointed in me, but
this was a last-minute thing. I assume,
second,
right? Like 3 weeks ago. Where are you going?
Belize.
Have you ever been?
Don't know where it is.
I have never been. I think
where is it?
South of Mexico.
Of Mexico? That's what I think.
Could be wrong about that. And
I know I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it's south of Mexico. I have never been. My younger brother went years ago, and the pictures he brought back were amazing. So,
okay. Well, I'm going. I'm going.
Is this just you and Ainsley or the boys?
No. Ainsley is gone this week to a yoga retreat in Mexico. She's gone. She's been gone. So that's why I had to move the podcast because, or I had to do it at this time because I had to pick up Davis and then run back here. And
let's not bore everybody with
the mom. Right, the minutia.
Let's talk about Belize. That's more exciting. You're going with your wife? I'm assuming.
No. She's not.
You're not.
She already went. I just said she went on her trip. No. AD, my sister, will be there, and so will my mom and dad. And so will my mom and dad.
Oh, I pictured this romantic. You and Ainsley like second honeymoon kind of thing.
No, it's a fishing expedition. It's supposed to be a fishing hotspot. So all the original
Bunns. I wouldn't know about that.
Yes, okay. Right. It's okay. It's going to be warm, and I'm going to have a good time.
Speaking of your sister, you got the email I sent the other day?
I did. Thank you so much.
You know what? It made me think that I know you have a topic for today, but just when you text somebody a question, what is the acceptable length of time? Because you got a little impatient there. You were like, hello, Joe sent me a text Monday morning, which if anyone knows me, that's my busy payroll time. And I didn't respond within like 90 minutes. And then I got that hello, and I don't know how you sent it, but I read it like, you MF, answer my freaking question.
I just want to make sure you got it.
Yeah. So is 90 minutes?
No, 2 hours.
Long?
2 hours.
2 hours, checking. And then you're a jerk. You're actually checking the timestamp?
Yeah, no, I'm checking.
It might have been 2 hours.
No, it's 2 hours. 2 hours, almost exactly.
Okay. So 2 hours,
I start throwing the hello or the cricket emoji. I throw the cricket emoji on people too.
Got it.
Better than anyway, I'm sorry, man. She was upset. She needed help, and so I was like kind of fast forward you to help her. Sorry.
Right. Well, I did. Just took 2 hours.
Yes, sorry. It's okay. Sorry, AD. Sorry.
Well, cool, man. Have a great time at Belize.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
And good to
go. Let's talk about music again today.
Let's talk about music again. Everybody loves this topic.
Right. We are going to. You're going to be like, this dude needs to get royalties. But your boy Richie Stedman was talking about this in a chat with me on Facebook about. I guess the best way to phrase it is different areas of the country, do they play different songs? In other words, does a DJ in New Jersey or in Chicago or Michigan have a specific little pod of songs that he plays, at 90% of his weddings that he knows people are going to go mental over it? Now,
so I don't know where Richie's from.
Richie's in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
Salt Lake City.
So did he have some from Salt Lake City that he felt?
I think, let me reference that back while we're talking, but before I get into that, Mike, I will specifically say that, this almost sparked kind of a side topic for me that I started thinking about how crazy it is that that so many sports teams and sports fans have specific songs to them.
Right.
So, we could almost side topic that, but like for example, like if you play for Ohio State crowd, they want to hear "Hang On Sloopy."
Hang On Sloopy, right?
I would never play that ever,
right. And I would never know that except for I've had some Ohio State bridegrooms that have turned me on to that. So now I know if I see we've got some Ohio State grads, if one of the couple, then I'll just drop that in without even being asked. And so when you say regional, I think knowing the sports regionality stuff is important.
Is super important.
The Boston Red Sox have basically bogarted Sweet Caroline, so that's become like their song. So even if you're not doing a wedding in Boston, if you've got fans who are, if you got guests who are from Boston or a bride and groom that tell you, oh yeah, we're big Red Sox fans. I don't know how that would come up, but yeah, you can drop in Sweet Caroline. I mean, you could probably drop it in anyway, but you can confidently drop that in and know you're touching something that they can relate to. You know,
I mean, you know, Devil with a Blue Dress. That's the Duke Blue Devils. You know, that's a big song with them.
Okay.
And again, I would never play that. Virginia Tech, they come out to Enter Sandman. Like, I would never play Enter Sandman.
See, now, as a New Yorker, I know Enter Sandman as the Mariano Rivera song, the Yankees closer for years. He came out of the bullpen to that song. So,
that's cool.
In fact, I just met with a couple recently in one of my March weddings, and they want to come into that song.
Nice.
So I said to the groom, because you know that's the groom's choice, not the bride's choice.
Sure.
I said, are you a Metallica fan or a Yankees fan? And he said, more of a Yankees fan. Because I don't really like Metallica, but that song.
Right.
So I knew it was going to be one of those two, is why he wanted to come into that.
So know your audience, know your couple, sports, know where you are. So yeah, here is Richie's original take on it. He said, my example would be Kenny Loggins' Footloose. I imagine that unless they are club-only DJs, that 75 to 85% of weddings in Utah have Footloose played at them. And I guess it's that whole, you know, you remember the movie, you remember the story, like dancing was banned, and I guess maybe he's, I mean, kind of relating that to
super religious kind of area.
Right. Yeah.
Well, just to keep it in the same region, in preparation for this, I reached out to some of our friends. Rob Ferre, also from Salt Lake City. He said, Imagine Dragons. He said, band members have ties to Utah. He also said the lead singer, Dan Reynolds, is Mormon and puts on an annual concert called Love Loud. He also said you can make a joke about the Osmonds, Donnie Marie. But Rob also said flash mob type dances are popular with younger type Mormon reception. So that was Rob's take on that. So off in Salt Lake City. That's feedback I got from Rob.
So, you know, you guys that listen know that I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Mike is it the middle of New Jersey? I always mess this up.
Yeah, Central Jersey along the shore, I guess you call it. It's funny because people from North Jersey call me South Jersey when I'm really not. I mean, there's still another almost 2 hours to go before you get down to the end of Jersey, but on me South Jersey. But
South Jersey. Yeah. All right. Well, so we're in two totally different regions, and so I said, Mike, let me task you with, you know, pulling up your playlist, and let's talk about a few songs that you think are specific to New Jersey. So let's start with yours, Mike. Like a few songs, or
two big. Local artists that have come out of Jersey in the last 40, 50 years are Bruce and Bon Jovi. Now, I assume you play some Bon Jovi, right? Do you ever play Living on a Prayer?
80% of the time, yes.
Okay, so to me, that's probably not a regional thing. It's more of an 80s hit thing.
Sure.
But Bruce, how much Springsteen do you play?
2%.
Okay, so
maybe
I would
less.
say I probably played Springsteen at 50% of my weddings.
Wow. Okay.
And some of my weddings, I'm doing 7 or 8 Springsteen songs.
Wow.
Like, they're such big fans that I'm dropping in a couple of his slower songs during dinner, some of his mid-tempo songs during cocktail hour, and then doing Glory Days and Rosalita for the dance.
Born to Run.
So, you know what's funny? I just had this conversation with a client recently. Born to Run is his most recognizable song. It's not his best dancing song. Okay. So, and I told the couple that was on their request list, and I said, look, if you want me to play that song, I certainly will. Yeah. But in my experience, if you want people to dance to Bruce Springsteen, Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark, and if they're hardcore Springsteen fans, Rosalita is the song of the night. Okay. That's his, like, in concert, that's one of his highlight rockers that you need to be, and especially because it's 7.5 minutes long. It's one of those songs you don't want to drop it unless you're confident that it's going to go over the full
song. Sure. Yeah. So what about the most obvious choice, though? You didn't even talk about that.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl is not him. That's not a Springsteen song penned. Oh. Tom Waits wrote that song. Okay. And if you ever go, and I know you were talking about dropping audio into this, but it took me forever to edit last week, so I prefer not to do that. But if anyone wants to hit pause on this and go look up Tom Waits' original version of Jersey Girl, I've heard that song a couple times, his version. I feel like he's almost making fun of Jersey Girls a little bit, especially the line about let's take that little brat of yours and chop him off of your mom's. I think the implication there is that Jersey girls are all single moms, which you know, is probably not the biggest compliment in the world. But So yeah, Springsteen covered that song, and the version that he put out was live.
Yeah,
and if you go back and listen to the version he put out, he's playing it in concert, and you can kind of almost tell that the crowd has never heard this song before because it's a really rare Tom Waits song.
Right.
And they're responding as they hear it. So when he mentions things from Jersey, like going down the shore and various Jersey things, that people just, the crowd loses their mind because
I gotta hear it. Yeah. You may have to edit that in, Mike. I'm sorry.
Okay. Pause here while I put in. And by the way, if you're watching on video, that didn't come out. So
sorry.
Jump over to the podcast and I'll put in 10 seconds of Tom Waits too in Jersey.
Yes. All right. So, dude, those are awesome. You know, and I would assume down here, and this is probably even lesser known because it really has been such a regionality. And I was just on Wikipedia trying to read kind of the origin of it, but beach music, or what they call Carolina shag music. And if you're from London, shagging is a dance. It's not
totally different
pumping, right?
Yeah. I'd rather shag in London. Well, I love dancing, but I would probably rather shag in London than down the shore.
Carolina beach music is as regional as, you know, pretty much the beaches of North and South Carolina. It never really went much further. The classic beach bands that people really know around here are General Johnson and the chairman of the board. General Johnson passed a few years ago, Mike, and you would have thought that Elvis died, you know, in North Carolina. It was that big of a deal.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure the day Springsteen keels over, it's going to be
bigger than
it
North
is a
Carolina.
National. It will be, but it will be a New Jersey hot. Like it will be a day of mourning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. The Embers. And so, you know, songs like the Embers, the song is literally called I Love Beach Music. And, you know, I guess the best way to look at it is go on YouTube and type, you know, shaggers or shag. Make sure it's YouTube and not YouPorn.
So let me ask you this though, Joe. If I'm doing a wedding here in New Jersey, and a table comes up to me and says, "We're from North Carolina, can you play some shag music?"
Yes.
What's the #1 song you'd recommend?
Carolina Girls.
I'm not gonna give them, you know, an hour of shag. What's
Carolina Girls by General Johnson and the chairman of the board.
Carolina Girls is the signature
go-to. However, I will say this, and I've talked about this with you before, because you think that My Girl by the Temptations is more of a mid-tempo.
I call it a slow song.
Yeah,
you call it.
People can shag to
that's shag music.
Yeah, so you could almost sell a crowd that has no idea about it on the fact that you played My Girl, and those people would shag to that, and then the other people would just be maybe slow.
But see, as an MC, I would make a big deal about playing. I would say, hey, folks, by the way, table 10 over here, they came all the way up from North Carolina. They asked if they could do some regional music. And I'd probably make a joke about it. Let's watch them shag. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, not what you're thinking.
Not what you're thinking. Right. Okay.
Right. But so that's good to know. So
Carolina Girls, General Johnson and the chairman of the board is the name of the group.
Cool.
But what's funny,
You've
Mike,
also mentioned Wagon Wheel, correct?
Well, right. I was going to get to that. Let me just finish this shag section here, this beach music section. So the newer shaggers, right, the kids that would be into this, literally in competitions, Mike, like it's worth Googling, man. These people, it's basically a variation of a swing dance.
Right.
And the newer generation, let's say 25 to 35-year-old, doesn't like these older bands that my mom and dad grew up listening to.
Yeah.
So they would want, like a good one is a song called The Walk by Mayer Hawthorne, if you want to insert that right there. I love it. It's very soulful. You'll love that record, Mike. His first record's incredible. He's a blue-eyed soul, white guy, sounds like R&B, like an old record. Amazing. The Walk. Or I remember when Smooth came out. Rob Thomas and Santana, people ripped up the dance.
So that's because that's a cha-cha as well. So
right. It is. Yes. People were killing it. Like all the professional shaggers were dancing to that.
Wow.
Okay. North Carolina wise, we were speaking about sports earlier. Carolina Tar Heels come out, the basketball team, when they were good. We're in a really bad year. Don't anybody please bring that up. I'll get very heated. But they always come out to jump around. So
House of Pain.
House of Pain. And the irony of this, Mike, is when I played there in 1993 to 95, when I was in school, so 20-some years ago, that was my go-to, 2:30 in the morning, like I'm going to drop House of Pain. And now here we are, and that's what they come out to still, or now, to the basketball.
I think if I remember our top 40 list. That's on both of our lists anyway.
Yes,
so
I think so.
I think that's a party staple for most
Absolutely.
people. Yeah.
But some other things that are really poignant to me when I think of North Carolina, especially when I'm in Chapel Hill, is James Taylor's from Chapel Hill. So I always play Carolina in my mind.
Right.
Or really any James Taylor when I'm in Chapel Hill.
Right.
So Old Crow Medicine Show, Wagon Wheel, not the Darius Rucker version.
And why not the Darius Rucker?
Man, I don't know. I feel like if it's sometimes split, it's probably 70-30 Old Crow Medicine Show on the request list versus Darius. I like Darius. I always loved Hootie. You know, they're from South Carolina, so I always had a soft spot for them. But I don't know. And, you know, but if you look up the lyrics, you know, I'm thumbing my way into North Carolina.
Right.
You
so
know,
he mentions your state. Yeah.
Oh, and then he mentioned, I'm hoping for Raleigh so I can see my baby tonight. Like pandemonium when that gets played in Raleigh. And then finally, and we talked about this, and I think I had it on my top 40 list as well. It sounds like you never play it, but Petey Pablo, Raise Up, North Carolina, you know, take your shirt off, twist it around your hands.
You've mentioned that in the top 40. So that's another one. If I know I've got a bride and groom and a bunch coming up from North Carolina, put that into my playlist even if they don't ask for it. Drop
it in there. Even if it was just verse, chorus, dump it, like move on.
You know, when you proposed this topic, that's what I was trying to think about. How is this relevant to our listeners? But I think it's good to know if you're doing a wedding on the West Coast, and it turns out they've got 2 tables coming in from New Jersey, then, you know, maybe drop Glory Days on them. Try, you know, I mean, try and spotlight it. Say, hey, we got a group of people here from New Jersey. We're going to do one of their favorites. Boom. Into, you know, so if it happens that you have a group of people from North Carolina at your wedding, it's good, especially if the bride and groom haven't overwhelmed you with requests. If they've given you some leeway with some stuff, I think that's a great way to accommodate the locals.
And I didn't even really think about it the way Mike is speaking of it, guys. Like, you know, Mike is really good at emceeing, obviously, but he speaks of it as make a moment of it. You know what I mean? Don't try and sneak it in like, you know, like, can I sell this? You know, and you're sweating your balls off over there in the corner. Like, is this going to go over? Literally kind of talk over the outgoing track. Like, yo, what's up? You know, we got table 4 and 5.
Listen, maybe that's just me wanting to get more microphone time, but I think it's an opportunity to spotlight some people in the room. I think, listen, I got married 7 years ago. We had some people fly into the wedding. That's a huge compliment. When people actually get on a plane and fly to your location to witness your marriage, that's an honor. And so I think people like that should be recognized. I mean, a lot of times the best man will recognize people that have traveled. If the bride and groom get up and speak, they'll say, hey, by the way, we had this so-and-so came up from Florida. I think it's good to recognize those people anyway. And if you can then follow that up with, you know, and dropping a song on them, I think that's pretty cool.
That follows up another nugget I'll give you guys, and I can think of instances probably if I spent more time really on this, or really thought back on my career. But it is so important that even in the most mundane toasts or you know, what you consider a boring moment in anticipation of you putting on your dance show, listen. You know, pay attention
all the time.
You know, if you hear somebody mention a toast, you know, Kelly and I used to, you know, dance to Bye 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 by NSYNC all the time, and you know, and maybe as she's making her way back to her seat, Bye Bye Bye, you know, or like that's the first song of Open Dancing or something like that. Like, just instead of just standing up there like a dolt, you know what I mean? Like, actually pay attention.
I was doing a wedding recently with one of our veteran music mixers, and a newer one wouldn't have done this, but during the maid of honor's toast, she mentioned some song, I forget what it was, but some song that her and the bride used to listen to all the time. And so I didn't want to make it obvious, but I slowly started walking back during her toast to the DJ table, because I'm usually on the dance floor. I've given them the microphone. I'm not, I try to position myself so I'm not in anybody's way.
In a picture, right.
So I get myself back to the DJ table and I lean over and he goes, I already got it queued up. And I was like, dude, thanks, man.
You knew
coming out of the toast. I didn't even say, by the way, the maid of honor mentioned this, but anyone in the room who was paying attention.
It's a moment, man. You're creating a moment. You're creating a memory. The maid of honor is never
Joe is right. You miss those moments if you're not paying attention. And I think the biggest thing that makes people not pay attention nowadays is social media. You hand the microphone to the best man and he starts blah, 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 and you start looking at Facebook. Stupid. Stay in the moment, because you never know what you're going to hear that you can use right then or later on or what have you. Stay in the moment.
Please. Yes. Great advice. We would definitely like to hear from you guys, though. So in the comments under this, and we are, Mike, did we decide? Do we want to decide live on the air? We need to create a Facebook page for the podcast.
Yeah,
correct?
I think that's a really good idea. I mean, we had that going for the workshop for a while, and I don't even know if that page is still up.
I think it is. Let me try and just change it over.
Would be good.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe do the same thing. So anyway, I did reach out, like I said, to some friends. So let me.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought Rob was the only one. I'm like, damn, you got no friends.
Lots of. I just wanted to put Rob in there because
I got you. I'm like, damn, this guy has one friend.
I reached out to our boy Nate from Dallas. He said that maybe George Strait sings a song called Texas, but then he also said the obvious is Texas country, which is, I guess I looked it up, it's kind of a subgenre of country music, or what is also called red dirt country. Again, another subgenre of country music. Jim Cerrone, the perfect host from Indianapolis, he said he rattled off a few artists that are just from the area, which like Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi, I think is relevant. After Seven is from Indy.
Where is he again? You didn't say where?
Indianapolis.
Oh, India. Okay.
Babyface. The first one I would have thought was Mellencamp. He's from outside of Indiana, but if I was just thinking about Indiana artists, Mellencamp would be the first one.
Me too.
Henry Lee Summer. I wish I had a girl from Brazil Indian. Songwriter Hoagie Carmichael. He said Axl Rose and David Lee Roth are both from the Lafayette.
I know Axl is,
and singer-songwriter John Hyatt is from Indianapolis.
Okay.
I reached out to 3 people from Chicago in the house. Mars mentioned Percolator and a song called Watch My Feet. Shaney, obviously Chicago house is huge. That basically house music came out of Chicago.
Out of there.
She also reminded me that the Cha-Cha Slide was originated. And then Howard Wallach actually picked up the phone and called me.
Of course.
So much information.
The top dog.
But I'm going to boil it down. A couple of things that Howard Wallach mentioned. Every Day is Halloween by Ministry, which I didn't know that song. Really good song. He said R. Kelly was so popular in Chicago that they're still playing him.
Wow.
So even with all the R. Kelly backlash, he mentioned an artist called Louis the Child, which I had never heard of.
Yeah, I know them.
And then he mentioned step music. And and this is a great song. I looked this one up by Debbie Jacobs. Hot, Give It All You Got. It has a real disco kind of feel to it. I love that song. Thank you for turning me on to that, Howard. Bradley Ford from Nashville.
Nashville.
Who was at the Collective. Jack White and Black Keys, pretty famously from Nashville. When I texted Brad, I said, besides obviously country. And I think that made him respond in this way. He said, what a lot of people don't realize is that blues and R&B have always been a big part of Nashville music. It's always been way more culture under the radar than the world gives us credit. So I guess his point is Nashville isn't just country. Even though I thought of it and people do. Matt Johnson from DC, who you know very well. And he's told me this before. Chuck Brown is regional art and go-go music for
go-go music crowd. Yeah, that's right.
Quayne from St. Louis basically said, man, I don't know, we haven't had shit since Nelly. That was Quayne's contribution. Thank you very much, Quayne.
Thanks, Quayne.
Miles from Arizona pointed out that the Gin Blossoms basically broke out of that area from Southern California as well as Tempe, Tucson. And he used to play them on his radio station before they got big. Another one that called me or sent me so much information this would make its own podcast is Johnny V from Philadelphia. I boiled it down to just a few of the highlights. Johnny V said Rocky theme song, again, regional fight sports stuff, Eagles fight song. Polkas from Pittsburgh.
That's right.
And then he said they also have a few local homemade line dances that they've come up. 2 songs like Ain't That Peculiar by Marvin Gaye. I don't have a chance to look that up. And The Wanderer from Dion. Do you know Ron Michaels? From Colorado?
I like Ron a lot.
Ron responded, he said, aside from the occasional Lumineer song, not much. But this was interesting. He said, the only time I get a request for John Denver's Rocky Mountain High, which you would think, is from out-of-state guests. He said, never locals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I wonder if sometimes we assume because I would assume that, I mean, that's like a Colorado song.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Maybe the locals are over it or whatever. Just two more. John Young, he said, really nothing jumps out at me. Music has gone away from me.
In Minnesota, right?
In Minnesota. But he said, I can still pack a floor with some 90s countries hits, but elsewhere that wouldn't work, like Shania Twain, Garth Brooks, etc. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I played
Me
Shania.
neither. Me neither.
Friends in low places I do get.
Yeah, every once in a while.
And then last but not least, I reached out to Dave Lander from Pittsburgh, who you probably should have just had on instead of me.
Right.
Because he responded from Pittsburgh, but then I guess to prove that he has traveled around the country, he gave me other pointers from other regions. So Dave Lander, first of all, said definitely Wiz and Mac Miller. I know they're both nationally known, but you can definitely play more as well as deeper cuts from Pittsburgh. Also, Rusted Root and the Clarks on the rock side. Send Me on My Way and Ecstasy by Rusted Root still get great nostalgic. He said for the older generations, Donnie Iris and Joe Kruszewski. He said you know him. No?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know him.
Oh, he said Joe is actually friends with the boss. Good friends with the boss. I don't know what that means. And then this is where he started going around the country. Definitely make sure to mention Go-Go with relationship to DC, Chuck Brown, as Matt said. He also said he used the butt for DC. Which I haven't played in a while. I'd like to
Me neither.
He said Cleveland, Machine Gun Kelly, and Bones Thug and Harmony.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, yeah.
He said Philly, Meek Mill, and Old School Freeway, and Benny Siegel. And then he said San Francisco, Oakland, hi-fi music like YG and Too Short. So thank you, Dave, for basically
schooling us all. Thank you.
For schooling us all.
Rounding out the rest of the country, basically.
That's right. So thank you to all of my friends.
Thanks for everybody that wrote in on that.
I
Mike, that was
them yesterday.
Thank you for doing that, man. I'm sure that ate up like 2 hours of your time when people start blowing you up on the phone and like as if you're writing another book and they're giving you like research.
I should have just said, give me one song.
Give me.
It was very nice of the people who responded.
Man, I hate to end this episode on a downer, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Cool.
So
what's up?
Well, you're speaking of all the DJs. So Bill Herman reached out to me yesterday, and our friend Jason Jones. I don't know if you saw this post I made inside the.
I did see the post. His wife, huh?
Yeah, his wife is not doing well. So if you don't know Jason Jones, one, you should. He's an awesome
He's a great
dude.
guy. Yeah.
If you don't know Bill Herman, again, equally as awesome.
Jason and Bill co-hosted Mobile Beat. I'm gonna guess
for the year
7 years ago.
Man, has it been that long, Mike?
I don't know.
I think you're right. It was after the rebrand. I think it was after the rebrand when it started to get into a better show and a better experience. And I remember being not nearly the veteran that Mike was. You know, I'd spoken a couple of times at the older theater or older casinos, you know, the Riv and somewhere else. And I remember them being the hosts and the MCs for that show and like giving me like the warmest introduction as if I was a huge star. And I don't think I'll ever really forget that. They really hyped me up to a room full of people that didn't know or care who I was. But anyway.
So how can we help Jason's wife?
Yes, that was my point. So, there's two things. One, if you're going to this Photo Booth Expo and DJ News TV show coming up, I guess right around the time this particular episode drops, there's a workshop that Bill Herman's doing. It's only $100 a seat, which is a steal for as talented as he is, and whatever you're going to learn there's well more worth than $100. DJNTV.com /tickets. You can get a ticket to that, or just directly make a donation, guys. I don't think it matters if it's $5 or $5,000. DJNTV.com. That's DJNTV.com /Jason. And anyway, his wife Kelly's not doing well, so they got 2 young boys, and whatever y'all can do to help, I'm gonna help, and y'all do whatever you can. He's a good dude.
I will as well. I like Jason a lot. He's a really good guy, and you hate to see anybody in our industry going through a tough time. So
it's not good.
I certainly will.
Yeah. All right. So sorry to end it on a downer, but we were talking about all the DJs, and it reminded me of that. So
cool. No, I'm glad you did. I think that's important. Cool.
Thank you guys, and thanks for listening, everybody. And I guess I'll talk to you all after my vacation.
Joe, have a fantastic time at Belize. I want to see pictures of the fish.
Yes, fish.
Catch.
I love the way. Yes, they're way off the screen. Right.
I want to see it, and be careful with the hooks. Don't get anything caught.
Yeah, no hooks in the neck.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Safe travels. Later.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.